I thought I'll just clarify the doubts, and I just give a talk first. Then we can start this afternoon, the Bhashyam. Om Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Vyasa Shankara Madhyamam Asmadacharya Pariyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Om Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Shanno Mitra Shamvarunaha Shanno Bhavatvariyama Shanna Indro Brihaspatihi Shanno Vishnurukramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmamavatu Tadvaktaramavatu Avatu mam, avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Yaschandasam Rishabho Vishwarupaha Chandobhyodhyamrutaat Sambabhova Samendro Medhaya Sprunotu Amrutasya Devadharano Bhuyasam Shadidam Me Vicharshanam Jihva Me Madhumattama Karnabhyam Bhuri Vishruvam Brahmanah Koshosi Medhaya Pihitaha Shrutam me gopaya Om Shanti 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 Aham Vrikshasya Reriva Kirti Prashtangireriva Urdhva Pavitro Vajiniva Swamrutamasmi Dravinagum Savarchasam Sumedha Amrutokshitaha Iti Trishankor Vedano Vachanam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Achyutaya Namaha Achyutaya Namaha Om Anantaya Namaha Anantaya Namaha. Om Govindaya Namaha. Last evening, we did the concluding part of the Taittiriya Upanishad in the 3rd chapter, Bhriguvalli. There, Brahma Vidya Sangraha, the briefest summary of this content of the 2nd chapter was given, and also the benefit of Brahma Vidya, the benefit of the knowledge, which was expressed in the form of a declaration of a Jnani Jivan Muktaha. I briefly said, when a person goes through the analysis of the 5 koshas, starting from the Annamaya, the grossest, outermost layer of personality, at every level, he thoroughly analyzes, he understands the fact. He means we. When I say he, I mean we. We all understand the fact how it is gross material product. When you understand your own gross body, how it is definitely a modified form of the food. And if this is an effect, the cause is actually originally the gross matter. It is very clear for you. There's nothing contradicts our reasoning at all. This is a modified form of food, which means originally, if you trace the origin of the food, anything which is a cause must be an effect also. A cause must be an effect also. Therefore, if you say food is this is the modified form of the food we eat, then what is the cause of the food? That is how we trace, and we have to say finally the gross matter elements. Therefore, the total cosmos, the gross universe, the perceptible, experienceable, the gross universe, is actually nothing but modified forms of the elements. That's why it's the elemental model, this universe. And being material, and it is of the nature of inertness, therefore it does not have independent existence of its own. Anything inert is dependent on the consciousness to come to light, to have the status of being existent. It must become the known in order to have the status of being existent. Therefore, this universe has no independent existence means, even though it is very gross, tangible, experienceable, perceptible, we have to include this body, mind, sense, physical body first, outermost layer, in this entire objective gross universe, and understand it is just a non-substantial form and name. All the gross matter itself has to be understood to be non-substantial form and name. What is matter? Matter doesn't matter. Matter is a gross. In this gross, the entire matter has to be reduced to non-substantial form and name. Why? It doesn't have independent existence at all. Therefore, not only the gross matter, we resolve this, then we move on to subtle matter, then you see again analyzed from the standpoint of the pranamaya, koshaha. Initially we take it as pranamaya atma, then we see it as what pranamaya, we negate it as pranamaya kosha. Only when you understand, definitely, it is definitely atma is not this pranamaya. Therefore you negate it as pranamaya kosha, pranamaya is anatma. And this pranamaya also, definitely there's some corresponding total. There's a pranamaya in me, pranamaya in you, pranamaya in her, pranamaya in everybody, pranamaya in all the living beings. The subtle is there, pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya. Pranamaya and manomaya are there in other, pranamaya alone is there in other living beings. Only human being has what? Manomaya, vijnanamaya. Other living beings, there's no such a thing called, they stop with the pranamaya. What is the difference between non-living thing and a living being? In plants, in other animals, they have pranamaya, therefore life. There's no manomaya. To a certain degree people say, but still definitely not manomaya, no vijnanamaya at all. Those two koshas are not there for them. Only pranamaya, that is why life. So when you take this pranamaya also, again just the vital air. Pranamaya is nothing but vital air. So what is this vital air? Because we give 5 different names, but for energy. And we see the same vital air associated with the 5 powers of organs of actions. We saw also, analyzed in our meditation class also, how each power obtaining in each physical part enables each physical part act and function. That's why dead body is dead body. That the powers have gone. The sukshma leaves the body means it's non-functional, inactive, dead. So the 5 powers of organs of actions and the 5 physiological functions, they form the pranamaya koshaha. And there's a corresponding samashti pranaha, samashti karma indriyani. We call them all what? Sutratma, hiranyagarbha. We look at it as Bhagavan. This total gross, we look at the total gross matter, material universe as Virat, Ishvaraha. Then we understand even this pranamaya koshaha with this corresponding total pranamaya, samashti pranaha, sutratma, all material, subtle matter. Only difference is subtle matter. There's also matter. It doesn't have independent existence. Therefore, matter, when you say yad, anything material is jadam. How do you say? Anything known is jadam. This is how Shastram says. Yad drishyam tajjadam. How can I understand something is the matter? You understand the matter in terms of its nature of being inertness. What is inert? How do you understand what is inert? Anything which is known is inert. Anything which is an object of knowledge is inert. Anything which is inert is non-conscious, which is material. Matter. Therefore, the pranamaya also, though subtle, still it is matter. So reduce the entire samashti pranaha also. Again, we differentiate subtle matter also into 3 layers. As manomaya. What about manomaya? Manomaya also is a subtle matter. And then very expression mayat, that suffix mayat itself indicates its nature being change. So change, modification being the nature of the matter is indicated by the affix mayat, which we say mayaha, manomayaha. From there you see this corresponding total mind stuff mind stuff. I explained in the class, Sukshma Dravyam. Sukshma Dravyam. Mind stuff is Sukshma Dravyam, subtle matter. It's also object of knowledge. So you take the Samashti Sukshma, Samashti Manaha also is Hiranyagarbha. Definitely be convinced right now here itself, it is only matter. But it is capable of manifesting consciousness. What is the difference between subtle matter and the gross matter? Consciousness is all pervasive. But for the consciousness to become manifest, it is dependent on the subtle matter. Consciousness is not dependent on matter for its existence. Whereas matter is dependent on consciousness for its very existence. But consciousness is dependent on subtle matter for its manifestation. So this pranas, then we see Samashti Manaha, it's also subtle matter. And we have this Vijnanamayaha, we differentiate. In fact, Vijnanamayaha and Manaha, Vijnanamayaha, Manomiyaha, the same. We differentiate only from the standpoint of the functions. So here we reduce all the emotions and desires in Manomiyaha. So knowledge we take it to Vijnanamayaha. So what about Manomiyaha? Manomiyaha with its corresponding Samashti Manaha, which is otherwise given, name is given. Hiranyagarbha is only the name attributed to the subtle manifestation. Like how Virat is a name attributed to the gross manifestation. Just the name. So also what about the Vijnanamayaha? Vijnanamayaha, that is where we have to see, Vijnanamayaha is also understand Sukshma Dravyam, subtle matter, where it's like a pool, where thought, like how waves rise and resolve, thoughts rise and resolve. And the Vijnanamayaha becomes conscious, becomes sentient, because it is always inseparably with the consciousness. How? Because consciousness is always manifest there. That is why it's ever conscious. That is why Hiranyagarbha is said to be known as Hiranyagarbha. But only when the thoughts rise, there is manifestation of consciousness. But consciousness is always there. Why? It cannot go anywhere. Why consciousness cannot go anywhere? It cannot move because it is of the nature of all pervasiveness. Consciousness is one thing, can never be located. Where is consciousness? You cannot locate consciousness. This is where consciousness is. You can locate the gross things. Where is this camera? Where is this mic? Where is this chair? You can locate. Where is Swamiji's room? You can locate. But where is consciousness? You cannot locate. Why? Non-locatable is consciousness. The space itself cannot be located. You have to understand this. Which means, so Vijnanamayaha also is subtlest matter. And it's a corresponding total Vijnanam, Samashti Vijnanam, Brahma, we called Mahat Tattvam. We called it separately Sutratma Samashti Pranaha, Hiranyagarbha Samashti Manaha, Samashti Buddhihi, Samashti Vijnanam, Samashti Vijnanam Brahma is what? Mahat Tattvam. All these three together are known by one word, which is Hiranyagarbha. Vijnanam Mahattattvam, Samashti Vijnanam Mahattattvam, Samashti Manaha Hiranyagarbha, Samashti Pranaha Sutratma. All of them together. Who is Sutratma? Hiranyagarbha. Who is Hiranyagarbha? Hiranyagarbha. What is Mahattattvam? Hiranyagarbha. Now reduced the gross matter and subtle matter into two names as Virat and Hiranyagarbha. Why do we give the two names? we look at this matter, if at all matter, and we talk about the matter because it enjoys existence. It enjoys existence, it doesn't have existence of its own. How does it enjoy existence then? How does it enjoy existence? Because it has a borrowed existence. Isn't it? Which means, where does it borrow its existence? From consciousness. Consciousness lends existence to the matter. Not physically lending. It has, okay? Therefore, the existence enjoyed by this subtle matter and the gross matter is because of the manifestation of consciousness. That is why when becomes what now? There's no matter. Matter is looked upon as manifestation of consciousness. Just as this opaque thing is looked upon as reflection of light, all the material products are looked upon as manifestation of consciousness. Once you look at it as a manifestation of consciousness, you do not see it anymore as gross matter. It's a conscious, isn't it, knowledge? Therefore, it is given the Ishvara status. The total is given the Ishvara status as what? Everything is looked upon as the glory of Bhagavan. Because manifestation of knowledge. Therefore, then the names Virat. The gross manifestation is given the name Virat. Subtle manifestation is given the name Hiranyagarbha. Then what is Karana Prapanchaha? What is this causal universe? Karana Prapanchaha. Again, the reality with its power alone is given the name as a Karana Prapanchaha, Karana Ishvaraha. Then you, just the reality alone, the absolute reality with its inseparable power. It is endowed with the power of knowing, which is its swarupam. Why does it know? Knowing is its swarupam. Janati iti jnanam. Janati iti jnanam. So this reality alone, when you look at the reality as something endowed with the power, then you give the name Ishvaraha, Antaryamishvaraha. Why? Because the one in whom everything remains resolved. Antaha yamayati sarvam iti antaryami. The one in whom everything remains resolved. Antaryamishvaraha. As long as this power of knowing remains unmanifest, the vrittis, then there is no manifestation of knowledge. The power of reality should become manifest, only then there is knowledge possible. What is the reality then? Reality is a source of knowledge. It is of the nature of knowledge. It's always there, everywhere there. But when does knowledge take place? When the thoughts rise, when a thought rises, then knowledge is already there, it becomes manifest. It's like your face is always here. When does the reflection come? Only when the mirror comes. Your face is here. The reflection of the face happens only when the mirror is brought in front of you. Face always there. But when do you see the reflection? Only when the mirror comes. That is why we say, when the mind is conscious, but it is of the nature of undergoing changes, there is a time mind remains non-functional, totally resolved. Thoughts do not rise. We call it a non-functional mind is a deep sleep state of the mind. When the thought rises, there is a reflection of consciousness. That is why cognition or knowledge, vritti jnanam, means the thought, which is a subtle matter, okay? The vritti rises, which is like a mirror. The consciousness which is already there becomes manifest. which is called Jnanam. Cognition involves two aspects: consciousness plus thought. Thought without the consciousness cannot even enjoy existence. But no, without the thought, consciousness is. But why there's no jnanam? In deep sleep state, the pure knowledge, the source of knowledge is. But there's no knowledge of self-existence. There's no knowledge of the existence of the world because corresponding thoughts do not rise. Like a mirror is not there. Is it clear? Mind is. Mind stuff is. But thoughts do not rise. Why? That is called function of mentation. That is called mental function. Mind is the thoughts rise, functional mind. Thoughts resolve, non-functional mind. Thought should rise, only then manifestation of knowledge is possible. The mirror should be there, only then reflection of your face is possible. When the mirror is not there, reflection is not there, then you cannot say your face is non-existent. Your face is. Just because you are not able to see your reflection in the mirror, you cannot see your face yourself. But you cannot see to see your own self, your own face, you need a reflection. When the reflecting medium is not there, mirror is not there, reflection is not possible. Just because reflecting medium is not there, reflection is not possible, can you deny your own existence of your face? Not being available for experience because of the absence of reflecting medium should not be mistaken for non-existence. Is it clear? This is what happens in a dead body. Understand? Why? The mind has gone there. Therefore, the thoughts cannot rise. Therefore, no manifestation is possible. Therefore, life is not possible. Is it clear? Consciousness is. Similarly here, when the thought rises, then there is manifestation of knowledge. That's why cognition involves two factors. Without the thought also, knowledge of the existence of one's own self also is not possible. Knowledge of the existence of the world also is not possible. Knowledge of anything is not possible without the thoughts. Thoughts should rise. What to become manifest? Like how important it is for you to have the mirror to have see a reflection. But without consciousness, without your face, mirror also cannot have any reflection. Similarly, without consciousness, thought also cannot have any existence. Mind doesn't even enjoy its existence without consciousness. Cannot. That's why we had very important to understand this fact. Consciousness is dependent on subtlest matter in the form of thoughts for its manifestation. Highest form of manifestation. For simple manifestation, like in plants and all, there's manifestation, only prana level. There's also manifestation of consciousness. Only in the form of the knowledge required for, adequate knowledge required for the functions to happen, for the living beings to survive. The plant survives with adequate knowledge. Any insect survives adequate knowledge. A bird survives adequate knowledge. So level of manifestation is different. Level of manifestation differs from being to being. And our own physical level of manifestation in our physical body itself is as good as the level of manifestation in any other animal. In a buffalo's body or a cow's body or a monkey's body, lion, tiger's body, any animal's physical body, the level of manifestation of consciousness at the physical level, the same. There's no difference between this physical body and any other physical body. Whatever knowledge is required for this sustenance of this body, that knowledge is manifest. Same. But what is special about a human being? Only in this Vijnanamayaha Koshaha, where the thought, isn't it? The thought, Aham Vritti rises. Aham Vritti, the particular Vritti which rises only in human intellect. And when the Vritti rises, and whereas consciousness becomes manifest, then becomes what? A cognition. Knowledge is what? Manifestation of consciousness plus thought is what? Knowledge. Is it clear? Consciousness plus manifest consciousness plus thought is what? We say cognition. Is it clear? Therefore, and this aham vrittihi, the very unique, only in human intellect it rises. That is why there is highest form of manifestation of knowledge is only in human being. In terms of the knowledge of self-existence, I am. Which other being in this world has this knowledge of self-existence? No animal has this knowledge of self-existence. They are alive, but there's no knowledge of self-existence. Therefore, they do not have willpower. They do not have knowledge of right and wrong. Therefore, they cannot be instructed. They can be trained. They can be trained. Dog can be trained to do certain things. But you cannot teach Vedanta to the dog. You cannot even teach language to the dog. Certain you can be trained, tamed, called taming. Taming of the dog is different from any animal, different from making a student understand. The Buddhi Shakti is very special. Even this Buddhi is what? Only matter. So, Samashti Vijnanam also is matter. Now, I want to tell you another thing. When I say knowledge with its inseparable power of knowing, the reality with its inseparable power of knowing is implied by the term knowledge. Reality has no word, just use the term reality. Why do you call it reality? Sat, Satyam. Two words, Satyam or Sat. Why do you call the reality Sat? Reality, reality. What is reality? It's a definition. What is reality? That which has no beginning, that which has no end, that which is of the nature of changelessness, that which does not depend upon something else for its existence is Satyam, Sat. That's what is reality. This is the definition of reality. Therefore, this is the reality, that which has no beginning, that which has no end, that which is of the nature of changelessness, that which does not depend upon anything else for its existence alone is Satyam. If we apply this definition, how do you arrive at it? What is that reality? You arrive at the reality only in terms of its nature of knowing. That which is of the nature of knowing. Why does it know? Knowing is its nature. This is the only way you can arrive at the reality. There is no other second shortcut method. There is no other way of arriving at the reality first. Chidrupenaiva sadvastu jnatavyam. It should be known only in terms of its nature of knowing. That is why the Upanishad here represents says, there's a knower, and the whole world is the known. Anything known, yad drishyam tajjadam, anything known is of the nature of inertness. Anything which is of the nature of inertness is matter, prakriti. You reduce it. And what is prakriti? Prakriti is that which has independent existence. Because of its nature of inertness, it doesn't have independent existence of its own. This is matter. Therefore, it is mithya. Mithya means it is not countable as a parallel reality. We cannot say matter is not there at all. Matter is not absolutely non-existent. It is not created by consciousness. Consciousness does not create the matter. Nothing is created here. Matter is equally anadi. But what is the nature of the matter? Matter is of the nature of undergoing changes constantly, consistently, continuously. Why does matter undergo change? That is the nature. Matter is of the nature of undergoing changes. So matter also has no beginning, really speaking, no end. It also cannot be destroyed. It is not created. So matter is. But what is the problem? Matter is of the nature of, because of the nature of inertness alone, it is called matter. Prakriti. And because it doesn't have independent existence at all, it is neither taken to be real, nor is it taken to be unreal, because it is not non-existent absolutely. It is not said to be absolutely real also, because it has no independent existence. Therefore, it comes under another category of another order of reality known as mithya. Satyam and mithya are completely different from each other. Completely different from each other. So all the scientific discoveries are happening within the realm of this matter only. Any experiment is only within the realm of what is known. In science, there's never a research on the nature of the knower. The knower scientist is trying to discover, find out more and more and more and more and more of such. That's why the universe is so vast. How much ever we discover, we had discovered so much again. That's why knowledge within the realm of the universe is what? It's as vast as the universe. Any knowledge of anything within the realm of science is only knowledge within the realm of the known. There's no research about the knower at all. Okay? So what does Vedanta teach? Vedanta's job is not to teach you what is available within the realm of the known matter. This is the nature of the matter. That is why body, which is material product, will be born, then it will grow, it undergo all modifications. One day, definitely, it will fall apart. That's the nature of the matter. Then what is that here? What is that which is there obtaining as the knower? Knower being the Sadvastu, subtlest matter, you can recognize it only where it is manifest. There's no manifestation of consciousness directly in the physical body. Gross matter can never be a medium of manifestation directly. There's no direct manifestation. The direct manifestation is only in the mind. Where there is manifestation of knowledge, there alone you can go and search for the source of the manifestation. That is why Upanishad teaches you, Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam. Why you should go to the mind to recognize. You can the only manifest consciousness alone is available for recognition. Pure consciousness can never be, pure consciousness can never be arrived at. You have to recognize consciousness only through its manifestation. If you want to know where does the wave come from, you should go to the, you want to discover the water, you have to go to this very source. Okay? Therefore, that is why we have to go to the mind, subtlest matter. The human being alone is blessed with this amazing capacity to discover because you have the mind, this intellect, where this amazing, this aham vritti is there. Therefore, manifestation of consciousness in terms of what? The manifestation of knowledge, I am, is possible. And then the thought resolves, even this knowledge of existence also resolves. Isn't it? That is why in deep sleep state, why you do not know your own existence in deep sleep state. We cannot call it a deep sleep state if you know your own existence. All the thoughts should resolve. Mind must be, it is like a waveless ocean. Thoughts resolve. It's a deep sleep state. And that is why you understand, how do you have to understand, definitely you are the knower. One has to see oneself being the knower. How can you understand that you are the knower? How can you, are you the knower? Are you the known? Are you the mind? What are you? You must be convinced, first of all, yes, I am the knower. I am the knower. You must be convinced. Why? Because everything else is known to you. You have, when you say I experience, when you say I experience, what does it mean? I have the experience. I experience means I am the experiencer, isn't it? I experience, I have the experience means I am the experiencer. I experience this world, the waking state. I experience a dream in dream state. I experience the total ignorance in deep sleep state. Only thing is, in deep sleep state, I experience, but I cannot talk about my experience because I am there not knowing my own existence. But still, how experience is possible? Because experiencing, knowing is the very nature. Therefore, Jnanam also is possible. So once you are convinced I am the knower, then you can understand that the knowledge of existence of yourself, obtaining in terms of thought, in terms of I am, that is also known to you. The presence of thought is known to you, absence of thought also is known to you. Isn't it? Which means the knower is distinct from the known thoughts. And that knower can never be known. Knower can never be known by the matter. Why? Matter itself is dependent on the knower to become the known. How can the known become the knower? The knower can never become the known. Known can never become the knower. Now, if you reduce the entire objective universe as the known matter, the known material product, can use one term. Because of its vastness, because of its innumerability, countlessness, we don't need to worry about it. The entire innumerable, countless forms, names and functions, everything can be reduced to one word, matter, material product, Jagat. Jagat doesn't go anywhere, it's always there. When the thoughts resolve, that is why mind is so important. It's all in the mind. The thoughts rise, then the manifestation of consciousness, there is a knowledge of the existence of the self, knowledge of the existence of the world. When the thoughts resolve, consciousness is, non-functional mind is, the world also is. But what is not there? When the mind is non-functional, all the thoughts are resolved. Non-functional mind with all the resolved thoughts is. Pure consciousness is. The world also is. But what doesn't happen? What is not there? Knowledge of the existence of the self is not there. Knowledge of the existence of the world is not there. World is, you are, mind is. Why? There is no knowledge of the existence of the world. Because there is no knowledge of the existence of the self also. Why? Because mind is non-functional. What does it mean? Thoughts are not there. Mirror is not there. Original face is there, mirror is not there. Pure consciousness is, but reflecting medium, manifesting medium, the thoughts are not there. Therefore, there is no manifestation of knowledge. Is it clear? That is why the whole universe becomes as good as non-existent if your mind is non-functional. So where does the world exist now? Where does the world exist? In your mind. Can you see this? Where does the world exist? In your mind. The thoughts do not rise, the world will be as good as non-existent. So the world is dependent on, isn't it, the function of mentation. When the mind is functional, then there is manifestation of consciousness is possible. Mind alone cannot become functional independently without the presence of consciousness. Mind enjoys existence, becomes conscious, becomes sentient, becomes functional because of just a mere presence of consciousness. The mind is functional, consciousness is manifest. Then the world also enjoys existence. The mind is non-functional, no thoughts, no vrittis, no manifestation, therefore no knowledge of the existence of the self and the world. The universe is unknown. When the universe is unknown, external objective universe, the entire material world, including your own body, mind, sense complex, is as good as non-existent when it is not known. Is it clear? Therefore, the entire material world is mithya. And you have to see this mind, amazing mind, this mind also is mithya. Then what is Satyam? That which is there, being aware of the presence of thoughts, absence of thoughts, the functional mind, non-functional mind, active mind, passive mind. There is something which is aware of that. What is that? Do you all see that? There is something which is aware of the mind being functional, mind being non-functional, thoughts, presence of thoughts, absence of thoughts, thoughts being there, thoughts being resolved. There is something which is witnessing, not involved. Just the witness, Sakshi Matram. There's a witness. Thoughts come, thoughts are, thoughts resolve. Knowledge is not. When the knowledge is not, we call it ignorance. So ignorance is not absence of knowledge, that which is opposed to knowledge. Never ever mistake what is ignorance means. Don't say absence of knowledge. Knowledge, ignorance. What is ignorance? Ignorance is that which is opposed to knowledge. Manifest knowledge. When the ignorance is, knowledge is not. Knowledge is, ignorance is not. That's all. Knowledge is never absent. Always knowledge is either manifest or unmanifest. So ignorance is not absence of knowledge, that which is opposed to knowledge. When the knowledge, manifestation of knowledge is not there, then what is ignorance? We say that. So ignorance is not absence of knowledge. So therefore, we say this reality is endowed with the power of knowing. There is a time this power is unmanifest. There is a power, this power is manifest. When the thoughts are, the power is manifest. Thoughts are not, the power is unmanifest. That power also we call it what? Inseparable power. Like how the sun has illumining power means what? You don't see separately the power sitting outside of the mirror. Is it clear now? Never ever separate the power. We understand appreciation of the sun being endowed with the power of illumining. So here also appreciate the fact, what now? The reality being endowed with the power of knowing. Therefore, we want the reality is known by the expression jnanam. There's no word can be used. Is it clear? You arrive at it only in terms of its nature of knowing. Chaitanyam, chit, consciousness, awareness, pure knowledge. Now understand what is pure knowledge? The source of manifestation of knowledge, because of the presence of which, when the thought comes, manifestation is possible. Is it clear? See, light is always here. The opaque thing comes, look at this. The opaque thing is brought into the light. Light alone is. When no opaque thing is here, what is the light? We have to call the light pure light. When the opaque thing is brought into the light, the opaque thing shines. Then we call the light becomes what? Recognizable. Isn't it? Light is one uniform, colorless. When the opaque thing comes, then as a reflecting medium, light becomes recognizable. Reflection. Similarly here, and this consciousness, you arrive at this reality in terms of its nature of consciousness, knowing. Shuddham Chaitanyam, Shuddham Jnanam, Chit. Now you ask the question, the knower. This is what I want to explain next today. Jnatru Swarupam means kim? Jnatru Swarupena Sadvastu Upalabhyate. Jnatru Swarupena Upalabhyate means it is available for recognition as the Swarupam of the knower. Means the nature of the knower. Truth of the knower. The content of the knower. When you say, knower is only a qualification, title attributed to the reality. There's no knower. What is knower? Knower is a qualification attributed to the reality. That's why the knower status also is mithya. Not only the known is mithya, the known is mithya because known has no independent existence. The known is the entire material world. The entire objective universe is mithya because it is known. It has no independent existence. What about the knower? Knower status is mithya. Knower qualification attributed to the reality is mithya. But the knower is knowledge. Illuminator is light. It's like exactly saying, when I say all the opaque things in this room shine, they enjoy the existence because they are not covered in darkness. Is it clear? All the opaque things, if they are covered in darkness, when they are unseen, when they cannot be seen, all the opaque things are not non-existent. They're all here in this room. There's a chair, there is a table, there are people, all the opaque things are present here. They're not absent. They're not non-existent. But still, if there's no light here, all the opaque things will remain covered in darkness. When they remain covered in darkness, they are not non-existent, but they're as good as non-existent. The opaque things which remain covered in darkness are as good as non-existent. They're not non-existent. Why? Covered in darkness means they are not seen. They are not seen because they do not shine. They do not shine because they are dependent. They do not have light of their own. They do not have light of their own. They're opaque in nature. Therefore, they're always dependent on some other light to come to light. They have to reflect light to come to light, to shine. Therefore, only in the presence of the light they all shine. Only in the presence of the light they all enjoy sense of being existent. That's why all the opaque things are ever illumined. Never can any opaque thing become the illuminator. And from the standpoint of the illumined opaque things, we understand that there is an illuminator. That in whose presence, because of the whose presence itself is a blessing, the opaque things come to light. That in whose presence, because of the presence of which opaque things come to light, is given the qualification title illuminator. Is it clear? There is no illuminator here. What is only the light and the opaque things. Therefore, that which is given the illuminator title, the qualification, in the presence of the opaque things. Why is given the qualification title? Because that only in whose presence alone opaque things can shine. Opaque things can enjoy the status of being existent. Opaque things can be functional, useful. That is, therefore, from the standpoint of the illumined opaque things, the illuminator is just the temporary qualification attributed to the light. If you search for the illuminator, there's no illuminator. That is why from the standpoint of the light, we don't say light is the illuminator. Is it clear? From the standpoint of the light, qualification is not necessary. Who is the illuminator? There are two words now. One word is illuminator, another word is light. Of the two words, which word has the substance? The word light alone is the substance. Minus light, illuminator has no substance. Illuminator is a non-substantial word, name and form. Is it clear now? Illuminator is a non-substantial word. Minus light, got it? I'm telling you something very, very important lesson. Very subtle thing. Illuminator is only a qualification attributed to the light. There's no illuminator other than the light. Therefore, if you take these two words, light and the illuminator, light is the substance, illuminator is just the word, non-substantial word. There's no substance other than the light. Similarly, when you say, I am the knower, thank God you don't say I am the known. Of course, I am physically, I can say my body is seen by your eyes, your body is seen by me. That way I can say we are all, which is here? Not that way. Absolutely, absolutely. Who is the knower? I am the knower. Can you see that you are the knower? Because this is discussion. This is discussion. This is subject matter of discussion. You must make sure you are the knower. Distinct from the known thoughts, known minds, known intellect. Knower of the all three states of experience, like the witness, Sakshi. Another word, Sakshi, is the witness, knower. Who is the knower here? There's no knower. Knower is only a qualification attributed to the reality from the standpoint of the known states of mind. Is it clear? Therefore, knower status, knower is only, there's no substance for the knower minus the reality. And what is the reality? We need to use some word to mean the reality. Because it is of the nature of knowing, let us use the term jnanam. That is why jnanam. When you take this Swarupa Lakshanam, I want to understand what is Swarupa Lakshanam, jnanam. I must have taken only for this one word, jnanam, very, very long time. Now I come back to this. What is Swarupa Lakshanam? Because I have to enter into the Bhashyam. What is Swarupa Lakshanam? Definition. Swarupa means, what is Lakshanam? Lakshanam is equal to definition in English language. What is the definition? What is Lakshanam? That by which something is arrived at. And that Lakshanam, no, it should be exclusive. Lakshana must be exclusive. It should not denote anything else. Now tell me, how many things here in this world are of the nature of knowing? Please think. It is called vision, giving the vision. Right now you must see how many things here are of the nature of knowing, except the reality. Understand? Now when you say, I am the knower, means even that all the words, I also is a word actually, isn't it? This is called Swarupa Lakshanam. What is this Swarupam? What is the nature? You have to, first of all, this methodology helps you arrive at the reality, land on the reality, cognitively, not physically, okay? Cognitively, intellectually, you have to land on the reality only in terms of its nature of knowing. Jnana Swarupam Vastu. And because, understand now, therefore, reality, nature being knowledge, and why does it exist? Self-existence is also its Swarupam. That's why existence and consciousness are one and the same. Is it clear? Jnanam, Satyam. You got both words now. Is it clear? Jnanam and Satyam Swarupam. Is clear? No doubt. Existence and consciousness are not two different things. Is it clear? Why consciousness is the existence? Why pure knowledge is the existence? What is the meaning of the word noun, existence? Not existence of something, just existence by itself. You have to see existence is equal to consciousness. Consciousness is equal to existence. Instead of using the term knowledge, I am using the term consciousness now. Being aware, being conscious, knowing is the swarupam of the vastu which you land upon, which is called consciousness. And how abstract? The most abstract, inexplicably abstract, subtlest, imperceptible. How you can understand why it is imperceptible? How you are not simply saying, not uttering the word, you are not simply saying, you do understand how this reality is imperceptible, how it is inconceivable, how it is indescribable. Understand? Therefore, and it is this consciousness which alone is existence, is of the nature of limitlessness. When I say it is of the nature of limitlessness, being limitless again is its nature. Why is it limitless? Why is it limitless? Being limitless is its nature. How limitless it is? That is why you said time itself comes later on. Time itself is an object of knowledge. Anything which is an object of knowledge is jadam. Jadam is matter. Even time factor is being an object of knowledge. Time is a subtle concept. Factor. Object of knowledge. Therefore, the knower of time, distinct from time, is not beyond time, is of the nature of timelessness. Therefore, we use this expression nityaha. Vastu is nityam. Why is it called Vastu is called nityam? This reality, the substance is called nityam because it is timeless. It has no beginning. It has no end. Nityam. And being the very reality, no object enjoys its existence outside of knowledge. Is it clear? No opaque thing can shine anywhere outside of the light. Wherever the opaque thing enjoys the status of being existent, it should shine, it should reflect light only in the presence of light. Which means, whichever object enjoys the status of being existent, subtle or gross, doesn't matter. Opaque thing is means, along with the opaque things, what is invariably present is the light. Similarly, anything which is known, anything which is means it is known. Anything is known. Anything known is inseparably with the consciousness. Understand? Nothing exists outside of reality in terms of knowledge. That's why reality is said to be all pervasive. See, it is easy to say one word and go away. I must make you see here. All pervasive. Is it clear what is all pervasiveness means? That is why all pervasive means, instead of taking everything, let us go straightway to space. Space is all pervasive. And space itself is object of knowledge. Space is all pervasive. Space itself is object of knowledge. Even if you don't teach anything else, if I can make this lesson clear and go, I have taught you Upanishad. All the Upanishads I have taught you. I have taught you, I can say, I can guarantee you, I have taught you all the Upanishads. If I can make this one thing clear. So understand all pervasiveness. Therefore, what about space? The all-pervasive space itself is object of knowledge. Where does space exist? Space does not have existence outside of knowledge. Therefore, reality in terms of consciousness pervades the space. Therefore, reality is spatially limitless. Spatially limitless. And every object being different from every other object is subject to object limitation. This being not this being not this, every object is limited by every other object. Every object limits every other object, being different. Now tell me, which object can limit the reality in the form of knowledge? Every object which enjoys the status of being existent is dependent on knowledge. No object exists outside of knowledge. Therefore, no object is what? No object can limit the reality, consciousness. Got it? You must see it right now. If you say, please nod your heads. Yes or no? Otherwise, you have to see no object can limit reality. How no wave can limit the water? Why? No wave is different from water. Even though water is distinct from the wave, no wave is different from water. No wave can limit the water because the very existence of wave is water. Similarly, consciousness is distinct from every object, but no object can limit consciousness because no object exists outside of consciousness. Therefore, reality is free from object limitation also. These are the three possible limitations. There's no fourth limitation. And being limitless is the very nature. Understand? Therefore, Anantam. Satyam, sorry, Jnanam should be first, but Upanishad puts the word Satyam first. Jnanam, Satyam, Anantam. And this is the truth of the whole. Therefore, what now? In all the minds, now you can understand how many knowers are there. The knower is one. Is it clear now? How many illuminators are here? Illumined objects are many. Similarly, the minds, the manifesting media, the minds are many. But the source of manifestation is how many? How many sources of manifestation are there? Only one. There's only one, and the only secondless non-dual reality is the only source of manifestation of knowledge in all the minds. That's why absolutely the knower is one. Relatively, every mind is also relative knower. Absolute knower is what? The consciousness. Relative knower is mind. Absolute knower is consciousness. This is called Swarupa Lakshanam. You understand the reality in terms of its nature, and the nature which is distinct, no? Which distinguishes the Vastu from everything else. Now, no other object in the world is of the nature of knowing. Everything is of the nature of inertness. Therefore, it's exclusive Swarupam. Exclusive, the definition Lakshanam must be exclusively defining this. The word Jnanam cannot be used definition for anything else. Similarly, Satyam, existence. No other object has it exclusively for the Vastu. Exclusively defines the reality. In fact, it negates everything else. So, exclusively, it reveals the reality in terms of its nature. Swarup Lakshanam was given. Again, the clue also was given. This is the Swarupam. Where can you find it? Guhayam Nihitam. That is where manifestation. If you go and search for in other places, just because it is not available for recognition, interaction elsewhere, we should not mistake the non-recognizability on the part of non-living things or other living things as non-existence. But that's what we think. All pervasive. Therefore, it is implied by the term Atma. All, it pervades time, it pervades space, it pervades everything which exists within the realm of time and space. Therefore, it is all pervasive. Sarvam apnoti iti Atma. And because of this because of this nature of limitlessness of the reality, this conscious, this reality, abstract reality, which is of the nature of knowing, which is of the nature of existence, of the nature of limitlessness, is implied, not indicated by the word Brahma. Is it clear? Now you can understand very beautifully. Yascha, so Yascha asau aditye. Saha ayam yeshaha purushe. Saha ayam yeshaha purushe. Yascha asau aditye. Now understand, one and the same. In all the minds, how many knowers are there? Tell me. Only when you understand this, you can understand this samashti, the knower obtaining in all the minds. The knower obtaining in this individual mind, one and the same. This is how this equation we can become very clear. Equation become very clear. Is it clear now? The knower is one. The source of knowledge is one and the only reality. Now the equation must be very clear now. Yaha, saha, yeshaha, ayam, purushe. Yaschasau aditye, saha ekaha. The absolute knower of everything is the reality. Even the knower status is mithya. What is the reality now? Reality is neither the knower, nor the known, nor knowledge. That is pure knowledge, not the manifest knowledge. Then what is knower? The knower is knowledge. The knower is reality. Knowledge is reality. Known is also reality. The Triputi is reality, but reality is not the Triputi. Reality is free from this Triputi Bhedaha. Okay? Therefore, now where will you place your eye sense? Now Jivan Muktas. Okay? Jivan Mukti has to happen. Now you see even the Anandamayaha, not only Samashti Vijnanam, even the Anandamayaha. There's a bliss experience you have in deep sleep state when there's total ignorance. There's no experience of pain and pleasure, pairs of opposites. Experience of the absence of experience of pairs of opposites is what? What is the mental condition then? Experience. When you wake up, that goes. Therefore, experiential pleasure you have in deep sleep state. the experiential pleasure you have in deep sleep state is object of experience. Do you see that? The experiential pleasure you have in deep sleep state comes and goes. When you wake up, it goes. So any modaha, pramodaha, priyam is what now? Different degrees of pleasure. Live different degrees of pleasure. All experiential. And also you can start from the karma devananda, or all different degradation, different degrees of pleasures. Sukham. All of them are experiential pleasure. It's also mithya. And what is source of it? Anandaha. You have to see happiness is the swarupam of the reality. What is happiness? Being limitless, being full is being happy. Therefore, fullness is equal to limitlessness is equal to happiness. Therefore, anandaha, jnanam, satyam, anantam are all synonyms. Okay, Satchit Ananda Swarupaha Atma, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma are one and the same. Two different ways of seeing it. This alone is Satyam. This is the only substance of the entire universe. Substantive. Is it clear? I have made it clear what is Swarupam of the knower. Have I clarified it? Yesterday I promised evening before I left. I think I have. How many of you think this class is not necessary? We already know. We've understood it. Do you think that way? I'm not saying you do not know. You knew about it, but clarified. Enhanced clarity. Is it clear? Because Swarupam, I say Swarupam of the knower. I loved that expression, Swarupam of the knower. That's what I heard when I heard from Swamiji. I really worked on it. I know correctly. That's why it easily comes for me. But when I say, it should not sound only Swarupam of the knower, Swarupam of the knower. What is it? I want to clarify it. I know you all must be knowing, but I want to make sure that you all know. Okay, you know, but I don't know that you know. So I have to make it. Is it clear? Yeah. Now, any doubts, any questions? Now we'll see. We'll enjoy Shankara's commentary now. Now, see, now you know the content. You know which chapter has what subject matter, you know very well. Now, if we go there, any arguments presented, you can understand. Otherwise, without having studied the text, how can you understand the arguments there? Any questions? Okay. Let me tell you, because no questions, so let me tell you. So, that is why first part I finished. Yesterday what we covered, no? This jnani, what does the jnani do? Etamannamayam first asma lokat pretya. Now all of you must have seen that how you cannot locate I anywhere except this consciousness. Isn't it? Now you have to see what now. You have already, when you place I sense, resolve the I sense cognitively in consciousness. I, the knower, am consciousness. Then leave the I and knower also. I am consciousness. You see yourself as knower, then you search for the knower, then you stumble upon the consciousness, you say, I am the formless reality, abstract reality, which is of the nature of knowing. I am knowledge. I am pure knowledge. I am the source of all knowledge. When the I sense is shifted from the anatma to atma from the standpoint of consciousness, now tell me, does consciousness have any relation? Now, is consciousness related to anything? Consciousness, the Atma, implied by the word Atma, is not related to anything. Atma is not related to anything. See from the standpoint of consciousness. And if you see yourself, your absolute self from the standpoint of consciousness, now you can say what? The whole universe enjoys its exist in my existence. Means the whole universe is my own appearance. You see that? This is the understanding a person should have. That's why asma lokat pretya. Therefore, because relationship itself is not possible. I am, this is mine. I sense itself is resolved in consciousness. Where is the my sense? When you yourself have been knocked off, you have been pushed into consciousness. Like the wave is pushed into water cognitively, you are pushed into consciousness here. This is the no, you yourself do not exist anymore. Only consciousness is there, isn't it? Absolutely. Then how can you say mine? Some used to give a Tamil example. Very Azhakku means a small, tiniest measure. A small measure. And she used to say, Vazhakkila kazhakku mekka paarkkade. It means a small measure. There don't go and see which is east, which is west, which is north and south. In a small place, there you want to see which is south, which is northeast. Can't see. I sense itself is not possible. And where is the question of my sense? Therefore, jnani asmat lokat pretya. He gives up his identity. Not physically, intellectually gives up the identity with the body, the external world. So not having identity with the external world, with a sense of possession as mine, that becomes negate. He does not give up physically. Understand? Cognitively, the my sense becomes resolved. It's called giving up the identity with the external world. Is called what? Freeing oneself from mamakaraha, my sense. Then annamayamatmanamupasankramya, pranamayamatmanamupasankramya, manomayamatmanamupasankramya, vijnanamayamaatmanamupasankramya, anandamayamatmanamupasankramya. Having negated cognitively, intellectually, thoughtfully, analytically, logically understood everything as anatma mithya, and seeing not only this, simultaneously corresponding entire gross universe also you negate as mithya. And where can I place your I? And having given up the identity, deha abhimanam also tyaktva, you place I sense in pure knowledge, consciousness. That also give consciousness. everything is gone. So Deha Abhimanam also gone, Jagat Abhimanam also gone. And this is the Jnani, and he starts he is a Jivan Muktaha. And we saw the concluding part of the Jivan Mukta's expression. Just you can see the last bit. Just we chant the last bit, we can conclude it today. Iman lokan kamani kamaropyanu sancharan. Iman lokan kamani kamaropyanu sancharan. Etat samagayan naste. Etat samagayan naste. I explained the meaning of the word sama yesterday. Sama ganam, the Veda mantra said to the sama ganam. Otherwise, sama ganam is what? It's a glorification of Brahma. The word sama means sama ganam, also means Brahma, I said. Because of its sameness, the nature of sameness, Brahman also is said to be sama. Havu, 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 havu. Ahamannam, ahamannam, ahamannam. Ahamannam, ahamannam, ahamannam. Ahamannado, hamannado, hamannadaha. Nado, hamannado, hamannadaha. Ahagshloka krid, ahagshloka krid, ahagshloka krid. Gshloka krid, ahagshloka krid, ahagshloka krid. Ahamasmi prathama jarutasya. Ahamasmi prathama jarutasya. Purvam devebhyo mrutasya nabhai. Purvam devebhyo mrutasya nabhai. Yo ma dadati sayideva ma vaha. Yo ma dadati sayideva ma vaha. Ahamannam, ahamannam, adantamadme. Ahamannam, ahamannam, adantamadme. Ahamannam, adantamadme. Ahamannam, adantamadme. Ahamannam, adantamadme. There's only one ahamannam. Ahamannam, adantamadme. Mannam, adantamadme. Aham vishwam bhuvanamabhyabhavam. Aham vishwam bhuvanamabhyabhavam. Suvarna jyoti ihi. Suvarna jyoti ihi. Ya evam veda. Ya evam veda. Ityupanishat. Ityupanishat. Explained how is an expression of aho. Aho is expression of wonder. This person is wonder, is expressing his wonder. Jnani is expressing his wonder because it is the indivisible can never become divided logically through any process. If it can ever become finite, logically through any process. But still, it has become how I the waker, one, I am the waker, only waker. I enter into my dream, I bifurcating myself, dividing myself into two, and in dream, I am the no experience of the dream, and I myself become the dream world also. Isn't it true? I myself, it's a bifurcation. There is I myself become the knower, experience of the dream, and I myself become the dream. And I myself become the experiencer. I myself become the world of plurality in dream. I myself become all the actions. I myself become all the instruments. I myself become everything in dream. This is possible. This is logically not. This cannot be logically explained. Explained in the sense, this becoming, infinite becoming finite is not possible. Cannot be through any process. And this is the wonder. This is the wonder. Indivisible becoming divisible cannot happen through any process. This is the wonder that he expressed. And the knower, known, knowledge, all the three differences being Atma, being free from all three differences, but all the three are also nothing but Atma, Brahma. Only reality is, so Aham Annam means I am the entire objective universe. Aham Annadaha means I am the knower of the universe. Aham Shlokakrit means I am the mind. Okay? I am the link between the knower and the known. I am the knower, I am the knowledge, I am the known. Instrument which links the knower and the known, also I am. All the three are Atma. So I am the first and the foremost of Hiranyagarbha. I am the first and the foremost of all the beings. And I'm before all the devas, I am here. And then one who also Upanishad wants to emphasize this last chapter section definitely emphasizes this Atiti, Puja, Annadhanam. Therefore, the one who shares me in the form of food will have food. One who does not share the food and then I eat him. We saw that. So, I pervade the entire universe like the sunlight pervades everything. The one who knows this teaching in this manner becomes Jivan Muktaha. Thus ends the Upanishad. I finished it. Yesterday I promised I would explain what is it when we say Swarupam of the knower. Now I'm sure it is very clear. If you understand in this Upanishad, if I happen to come again by Bhagavan's grace, next Upanishad if I happen to teach you, there also I'll repeat this. And don't feel it, because this is how this Swarupam has to be understood. The text may differ, the methodology is the same, isn't it? Because vision is important. Any questions? We have 4 minutes. No doubts, no questions. Okay, thank you, Swamiji. If we covered the text, I'm happy you came this morning. That's why I just also, as I told them, I would explain this one small thing. And I want to clarify how to understand Vastu, what is Swarupa Lakshanam, how to arrive at it. I will explain further. They all understood earlier, but still I wanted to make sure that it's clear. So we will start with the Bhashyam again. I don't know how long. We'll see. Bhagavan's grace. We are all complete at the mercy of Bhagavan. Everything, my travel, everything is in Bhagavan's hands now. I leave it to Bhagavan and I live comfortably. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.